Lately on my TikTok FYP, I keep seeing this one artist called Koya. Now it makes sense. I get tons of art TikToks on my FYP because I'm an artist. It helps inspire me. But something is different about her art. Now I'll show you some examples so you can understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, they look kind of similar to AI, don't they? Now whether that be from the yellow tint that's on some of her art, or the weird anatomy, or her speed paints that seem sort of strange, it just looks like AI chibi art that I've seen floating around on Facebook or Twitter. But how do we know this artist is actually using AI? What if AI is just trained off art that looks like this? Well, there isn't a definitive way to confirm it, but I think the best way to tell is by looking at her older speed paints before she got accused of using AI. Okay, first of all, she's most likely tracing stuff due to there being little to no guidelines. Now we know Koya uses Procreate, and there's a feature on that app that allows you to hide layers from the speed paint. Here, let me show you how easy it is. This has made speed paints on Procreate pretty unreliable when it comes to proving whether or not something is traced. But there are always telltale signs. The biggest indicator is when stuff is drawn and there's no guidelines or editing. I'll show one of my speed paints as an example. You can see me fidgeting with the canvas size or using the lasso tool to fix anatomy. Something that's included in Procreate speed paints is you undoing stuff, so you can see me redoing lines over and over again to get them just right. Now, Koya may have edited out her mistakes or even hidden the sketch layer, which seems kind of strange because that's putting a lot of effort into making your speed paint look traced. Again, this speed paint has the same sort of problems as the last one, but it's much more blatant. The background literally comes out of nowhere. It's very obvious she's tracing something. The way she draws the flowers and trees is just not how artists draw them. Usually they start out with the trunk or the stem and build off of that, but her flowers just magically appear and don't need any adjusting. Around mid-April, she started getting accused of using AI after one of her videos got sort of popular, and she mainly got accused of AI on TikTok. She does have an Instagram that was relatively unknown, so on TikTok she started making videos trying to prove she didn't use AI. Now, this is strange because her speed paints look a little different than what we just saw. Let's compare the speed paints from before the accusation and after. Maybe I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and just say she was cutting out all the sketching and even hiding sketch layers to make the process cleaner. Maybe, but I don't really understand that because your speed paint just looks weird and people can't really understand your process. For me, speed paints are much more satisfying when you can see how everything is created. You get to see the artists experiment with sketching, line art, coloring, and it teaches you a lot about their process. Now, the AI accusations started getting more and more common as her videos started getting more and more popular due to the AI controversy. So she tried to make more videos proving that she doesn't use AI, and this is the one that is probably the strangest out of all of them for me. There's just a clear point where she just completely changes whatever she was sketching. I feel like there was a point where she was freehanding it to make the speed paint look real, and then she cuts out the part where she gets a reference or puts in a private layer or something like that and traces that. By the way, here's a sketch from a different video. You can see that it looks completely different than whatever she was doing before. All in all, this person is continuing to try and prove that they don't use AI, but she has failed miserably. She refuses to use any program outside of Procreate, and she hasn't done any uncut sketching or even drawing anything fully uncut and live. In this video, she tries to prove it by doing a sketch in person, and even that is cut, and she doesn't do the line art or coloring in person. She cuts to the Procreate speed paint. Everything she tries to prove, it isn't done in one take. There's always a point where she redoes the sketch and ends up looking completely different. Also, here's an IRL drawing. That looks quite a bit different than her digital art. Apparently, she's been doing live streams, but I haven't found any archives of them. I'm actually recording this before Saturday. She usually goes live on Saturday, so I'm going to add into the script if she goes live and what it's like. But anyway, now on some of her videos, she puts her Etsy store or the name of her Etsy store in them. So let's take a break from speed paints and see what her Etsy store is like. So she primarily sells stickers. On April 22nd, she posted something on TikTok to show off some of the stickers. And to me, this is the most blatant use of AI. She has this red panda character that appears everywhere, and in the stickers, this character has different patterns and colors in almost every single one. This makes no sense to me how this could happen. On the first slide, it's literally a different art style with different eyes. Let me give you a comparison. This is just so obvious. One of the pandas has dark markings on the face, which hasn't been done before. Some have these little dark spots on their hands. One has the inside of their ear as blue, while the other has it as pink. There's so many inconsistencies, and people are paying for this. So this is just on our TikTok. I actually went to the actual Etsy store, and it's even worse. People are paying for AI stickers. $7 for AI generated stickers. Maybe Koya isn't aware that the pricing of stickers is also based off the artist's time designing and rendering it. Because you can't charge that much for something you didn't create. I genuinely think this is a scam. Anyone buying from her Etsy has been told by Koya that she doesn't use AI, that she's been doing everything herself, but this is just so obviously generated. Etsy also requires you to disclose if your product is generated by AI. Koya is breaking the seller policy of Etsy because she doesn't want to be exposed for lying to her audience. By the way, I did report some of her most obvious AI generated stickers, and I'm hoping this goes somewhere because this is incredibly dishonest. I would also like to mention she has no speed paints of any of these stickers. They are not on her TikTok at all. So I truly believe this is just straight up generated. There's no tracing, no color picking, none of that. It's just straight from AI. All in all, I do believe she traces AI and color picks from it. Her stickers are most likely just straight up generated from AI because she doesn't have any speed paints of them, and they are all very inconsistent. The amount of effort she has put into proving she's a real artist could have been put into improving her art. I don't think Koya has faked her entire art career. I think there is some genuine skill and talent hidden behind the traced AI drawings. In this video, she shows off her old art, and I can tell she does know how to draw. She even admitted in a video that she's been drawing since she was a kid, and she got into digital art in 2014. I feel like the reason she's doing this is due to her believing her art isn't good enough for the TikTok algorithm, so she resorted to tracing AI. I get it, beginner artists are constantly bullied on social media, but you'll never improve and learn if you use AI as a crutch. And honestly, the harassment she's gotten for using AI is probably worse than any hate she would have gotten just from being a beginner. Most artists have more sympathy towards beginners than people who are trying to pass off AI as their own, and especially if they're profiting from it. I honestly don't know if Koya will be able to come back from this, or if she'll even admit to using AI, and I don't think sending death threats will help her realize her mistakes. Please don't harass Koya. I think the best thing to do is block and ignore. Her entire TikTok audience is full of people who are hate watching and following her, which is only leading to her content being pushed out more. That's how I found her. Her content was pushed out to me. Well, that's all for now. Okay, so 4 things happened while I was editing this video. 1, Koya uploaded a speed paint on her Instagram, and in that speed paint, an AI image flashed on the screen for like a split second, and it made it pretty obvious that she was in fact tracing AI. 2, she tried to make a video disproving the AI usage by saying that that drawing was just an old one.
And here it is. Me tracing my own art. The clip you're seeing shows me tracing of an old drawing. And yes, that's my own drawing. They wanted to recreate it because there were things in the original version that I didn't like. So I reused the sketch because I wanted to fix things. I used my old base sketch because I didn't feel like starting from scratch. I wanted to focus on evolving the art, not just rebuilding it. I made specific changes. The roses were redrawn. I just didn't like how they looked. I changed the mouth. In the first picture, I kept it really dark so that the black lipstick wouldn't pop up that much, like it should. And the necklace was redesigned as well, for example. And I completely changed the colors. I preferred the more vibrant palette over the muted, washed out tones of the original.
The video didn't really prove anything. It did a pretty poor job at that. 3, she went live on August 8th and due to a Texas law, I was unable to watch it because I was at school. 4, she privated everything, and I mean everything. The first thing that I noticed was that her Instagram was private because that's where the speed paint was originally uploaded, and then I noticed her store was closed, and then whenever I woke up the next day after editing my video at night, her TikTok account was also private. So this video, I guess, is sort of useless now because she was in fact proven to have been using AI. I still think it's important for me to make this video because not many people were aware that artists were deceiving their audience through these methods. And there will be other artists like Koya out there. I've already gotten artists similar to Koya on my TikTok FYP, but I don't know if I will talk about them, as due to Koya, many more people are more skeptical of those who have styles extremely similar to AI. Anyway, that's all. I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded in 8 months, or haven't uploaded any commentary in 8 months. There aren't many subjects that truly interest me, and Koya4art was fortunately one of the subjects that did. Due to the new Texas law that bans all personal devices in school, I don't know how often I'll upload, but I do still have some ideas on the back burner. I hope you guys look forward to more animations though, because I do enjoy animating and I'm trying to get better. That's about it. Bye!